Dreamers Awake, Chapter 7. Lydia felt like she practically floated home. She had a map open on her phone, but the walk home was straightforward. Even though she still thought it was chilly outside, she enjoyed the feeling of the sun on her face as she walked. When there wasn't a breeze or shade, she almost felt warm. Her lightheartedness began to wane as she drew closer to home, her aunt's home. She saw Aunt Maggie going inside with armfuls of groceries. She had noticed her aunt usually shopped at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, but today the bags were branded with a bright red S, which Lydia recognized as Safeway. She was close enough now to hear a jingle of keys and the quiet huff of her aunt's breath as she carted in the grocery bags. She seemed tired and exasperated. Maybe she wasn't sleeping well at night either. As Lydia drew nearer the house, she could feel something start to weigh on her. There was something going on here, and she wasn't so sure her aunt was totally oblivious to it anymore. Lydia opened the front door moments after Aunt Maggie had closed it. She walked into the kitchen and saw her aunt stashing snacks in the cupboards, Funyuns and Twinkies. "Wow, really? I thought you were a bit more health conscious than that," Lydia said, surprised by her boldness. "Heh, you're right, I usually am." Aunt Maggie paused and faced Lydia. "I've been feeling a bit stressed lately. When I get that way, I reach for the snacks of my childhood, sort of like a security blanket, I guess." Lydia nodded and looked down at the ground. Was it her that was stressing her aunt out so much? It would be hard to go from living all on your own to suddenly having another person around all the time. As if she were clairvoyant, Aunt Maggie hastily added, "It's not you. You're not stressing me out. Just, life stuff, I guess." Lydia nodded, but couldn't shake the feeling that she was somehow responsible. "Anyway, how was studying with Tyler?" "It was fun, actually. I even ended up helping him with his math," Lydia said. "Great. What say we go out for dinner tonight? Get out of the house a little. It's feeling a little, well, I don't know," Aunt Maggie said. Lydia knew. The atmosphere was oppressive this afternoon, as if someone were pressing in on them. "That sounds great," Lydia said. Aunt Maggie seemed a little surprised by her enthusiasm, but was glad they were going to have a chance to do a little bonding. "Okay, I'll pick someplace close by," Aunt Maggie said. "All right, I'll go downstairs and put my school stuff away," Lydia said. "Great, let's have a little downtime and head out in about an hour or so." Aunt Maggie had her phone out and was already looking up restaurants in the area. Lydia trounced downstairs to her room to drop off her stuff and check her phone. She felt a bit nervous as she made her way back to her bedroom. Aunt Maggie had indeed put up a privacy screen around the TV area, but just as Lydia had suspected, it didn't really change much. Just blocked a view Lydia already knew was there. She worried for a moment that her room would be totally trashed. Why she thought that, she wasn't sure. It just popped into her head and seemed like something that could reasonably happen. When she opened her bedroom door, everything seemed to be in order. She was glad she didn't have any homework left. Her and Tyler had managed to finish it all at the library. Tyler had said how nice it was to work with her. He even said she made algebra understandable. Since she had no homework, her backpack was tossed to her desk chair, and she flopped down on her bed with her phone. She checked her messages and texted Steph. Steph hadn't really been texting back at all. It hurt Lydia's feelings a little. Even though she wasn't in LA anymore, didn't mean they couldn't be friends. Maybe she was just busy. She sent Steph a text anyway, telling her about Tyler and the success of the study date. She was not surprised when Steph did not text back right away. But she did jump when she heard a loud crash from upstairs. "Aunt Maggie?" she yelled. There was no reply. She sighed and went out of her room and up the stairs. Aunt Maggie was still leaning against the kitchen counter with her phone in her hands, but she was perfectly still. The sky through the window behind her was an angry dark gray, which was weird because it had been sunny when she had come home that day. "Aunt Maggie, are you okay?" Aunt Maggie looked up from her phone with a loud crack. Her eyes were black holes, her mouth gaping open with no teeth or tongue, and this inhuman screaming that sounded like a mix between magpies and tires screeching was coming out of it. Lydia stumbled back and let out a cry of surprise. Aunt Maggie set down her phone, but the movements looked like a video that was buffering. She moved in such a jerky fashion. Lydia stepped back again and lost her footing. She went down hard on her back and whacked the back of her head on the linoleum floor. Aunt Maggie, with her awful empty face and screaming, was towering over her. Lydia closed her eyes. And when she opened them, she was in her room, alone. She sat up and looked around. Aunt Maggie called down the stairs, imploring her to put on some shoes so they could get to dinner. Her phone blinked with a blue light, telling her she had a message. It was from Steph, wanting details about Tyler. Lydia noticed that her text had been sent an hour ago. Steph had just replied. She felt the back of her head, and there was a tender knot where she had whacked it in her dream. "If it was a dream," she whispered.